the past few months, we've really seen Milan eclipse itself into second place in the Serie A. Here on Eclipse Day, the Calcio Guys, starting off just with Adriano and Gianni, joined by our good friend, Richard Kharman from Serie A Sitdown. Richard, how's it going?
It's going well. How you guys doing? I love the Eclipse-themed intro there.
Of course.
Had to throw it in there. Hopefully nobody burned their corneas today, guys. You did it all safely.
Wear protection.
We were in darkness. Yeah, wear protection. Those fucking glasses, I saw them all over it, all over the internet, all over social media. So, we hope everybody was safe with that. But happy to be back to talk outro with our good friend Richard.
Gianni will join us soon. He's just a bit late. But Richard, you're also doing your Schalke podcast, Schalke America, later. So, you're a busy man. You're a man of many talents, many leagues, which I respect because I only follow City. I can't follow two leagues, especially for you Schalkans in second division now. Even more respectful. Like that's insane. Like how do you keep up with all this?
It's hard. And keep the marriage intact too, right? It's hard. I'm doing the best I can. Yeah, a lot of late nights. I'll tell you that.
And the man of the hour, he's here.
Yeah, Johnny's here now.
Sorry, guys.
I
got here a little bit late. I was tutoring. I had to eat supper when I got home. Nick, you could easily follow two leagues. Just be like me, follow two teams. It's done.
Yeah, but it's easier when they're in the same league.
And they play each other every so often.
Yeah, the weekends where they play each other, you only have one game. It's okay.
Fair enough.
Richard's the Johnny of the podcasting cultural world. So
there you go.
I wish I could be at Richard's level. I always he is the goal. I attain to be just like him.
God, low standards. Low standards.
Look at this beauty over here. People who are listening to us on audio purposely look up our YouTube clip just to see it, like this fine specimen.
Culture Guys on YouTube. But let's talk some Milan. Let's jump right into it. 3-0 this weekend against Lecce. 2-1 win. If we're gonna go back, 2-1 win against Fiorentina. 3-1 against Verona. They had the win in the Europa League. They beat Milan. So it's what? I think it's 7 games now. Seven wins in a row, all comps. Their last draw was February 25th against Atalanta, so they're red hot right now. We'll start off with the game on Saturday, Richard. 3-0 against Lecce. A win that, you expect Milan to have, but 3 goals is even nicer. Pulisic, Giroud, and Leao. What did you make of it?
Well, you say we expected to win, but you don't know Milanisti. We don't expect to win, beat Lecce or anybody on the lower end. But no, it was a good result, I thought. We saw Pioli really trying out a new attacking trio with Leao, Pulisic, and Chukwueze. Not sure how they would do well. Obviously, Chukwueze's come on of late. Pulisic and Leao have been doing well all season long, and so we saw it was a good. They kept their motors running. They kept playing really well. They blended really well to the passes give and go. Chukwueze and Pulisic look good together. Adli, had a big game as well. And Giroud, he's a poacher. He doesn't have to be perfect, but he gets goals when he gets a chance. Good team result. I thought the fact they kept the shutout was almost as impressive as the win itself. But the fact they came out quickly, we've seen them come quickly against Lecce the first time they played each other, right? Two goals the first half. What happened? They came back and Lecce tied at 2-2. I think that the red card kind of helped Milan, but ultimately I thought they were in cruise control that whole game. It was nice to see for a change.
Yeah, no, I agree, Richard. I mean, it's a breath of fresh air. I think 2024 has been a pretty positive new year if we date back all the way to then. So obviously this campeonato, it is what it is at this point. Just kind of similar to last year, we already kind of knew where the top teams stand in terms of Napoli last year. Inter, I believe I was seeing two wins away from that Scudetto. So bitter for us on that end, but at the end of the day, I think trying to finish as high as possible. Currently in second, 6-point lead over Juve. We had that stretch of games where we were able to surpass Juve and trying to build a bit of a cushion, which was positive. So I think this game kind of encompassed I guess just a good run of fortune. It was one of those things. You mentioned obviously the big talking point in terms of in the Milan world of stuff in terms of the new formation. Well, not new formation, but new setup in terms of having Pulisic in the 10. What did you make of not only his performance today, but maybe as today on Saturday, and maybe even as a whole, because he's really turned it on, having maybe one of the better seasons of his career. What did you make of the new setup and how Pulisic has done? Because as an American for yourself and being a Milan fan, this is huge, right? So just your thoughts on all that.
Yeah, it's funny because we call him Captain America, which I don't understand because he's not even the captain of the United States U.S. men's national team. But no, I thought it was great to see how he did in the 10 role. You always think when those three guys are mentioned that Leao would be really the guy who'd be the number 10, right? But I think Leao's done better as on the left-hand side, and Pulisic seems dangerous no matter what side of the pitch he's on. And so I was curious to see how it would work out, and I thought he played really well. Like I said, him and Chikwueze linked up very well. Pulisic being able to kind of use the entire pitch, go where he needs to go. I thought the offense really went through him. He's just picked up so much confidence this season. Obviously had a down season last year at Chelsea, and he was a breath of fresh air. Played quick games, held the ball up really well. When he got that ball from Chikwueze, did a nice move to get free and score. But we've seen this all season long. It's just like Leao and Theo have not always been at their best this season. But Pulisic has been the guy who's kind of picked up the strings and gone with it. And I think all the new signings have done well this year. But Pulisic, I think, takes the cake from all of them. I think Ruben Loftus-Cheek is very close second there. But Christopher Pulisic's done an amazing job. It's good for obviously Milan to have a good talent on the right-hand side or now central to give Leao a little bit of a breathing room and maybe give teams another thing to think about. But also in terms of, just him overall as a player, he has so much potential. He is, in the United States, one of our darlings, really, if you think about it. And to see him have a resurgence and now who knows where the ceiling is for him. If he keeps building on this, if he stays in Milan, the sky's the limit for this guy. So I'm happy to see what he's done so far.
Do you feel like as if with Pulisic being at Milan, because everyone's arguing like, oh, Leao has reduced in production, and he's not that star that he was a couple of years ago. Last year, he was still really good towards the latter half of the season. But do you see it more as Leao taking his having struggles, or more of I feel like as if more like he's taking his foot off the gas pedal? What do you he doesn't have that much pressure on him to be the guy along with now there's three up front that can do it. You know what I'm saying?
No, for sure. I think certainly the relationship between Leao and Theo Hernandez has gotten stronger than it ever was before. They can read each other so well. I mean, the last game, not this game, but the game before, a nice backheel flick from Leao, midfield to free up Theo for the break. Those two know each other so well. I think Leao now realizes he doesn't have to put everything on him. There's other people on the team who can play well. Obviously, the new signings have done such an amazing job. I mean, Ruben Loftus-Cheek has done a great thing for this midfield because he's got consistency, he's got grit, but he can also get up there and score goals when he needs to. So Leao, he has a lot more options now, and so he can pick his moments more. I think before he was running himself tired, and now he can kind of pace himself. And what we've seen in the last probably 3-4 games, first half he kind of chills a little bit. He gets chances still, but then second half he turns it on. And that's when he usually gets his goals in the second half, gets the goal and assist. So I think Leao's loving life, and I know that the statistics say that he's probably having a down year. I don't see it really. I think he's just been unfortunate with his chances. He's still creating a ton of opportunities for both himself and players around him. It's just not going in like it was last year and the year before. So I think it's with the emergence of Pulisic and some of these other players, people are starting to wonder, oh yeah, his numbers aren't down, they should be up. But no, I think the goal scoring is spread out so much throughout the team. That's the reason why they're in second place. It's not because Leao. You can't only be one person, one trick pony. So I still think he's doing well this year. It's just that with the emergence of everybody else, it just seems like he's that much off, and I disagree. I think he's just having maybe a slightly down year, but he's still as effective as he has ever been. So
I don't know if you saw there was a little spat today between Cassano and Leao. I don't know if it was today.
No, I didn't see it. No, I didn't see it.
It was yesterday.
Oh, you didn't see it?
No.
But Cassano, I guess it was on his podcast or whatever.
Guy's always Domenica Sportiva.
Okay, I'll look it up.
So he says Leao's problem is he thinks he's a phenomenon. He's a good player that has great physical strength. That's it. 10 to 15 years ago, he wouldn't have been able to play for a team fighting for 6th to 7th place. Leao apparently responded with a bunch of clown emojis, so I don't know if that was on Instagram or whatever.
Twitter.
That was on Twitter.
He's active on Twitter, yeah.
Yeah. what do you make of that, Richard? And I'd love to hear also Gianni and Adriano's thoughts, and maybe I'll throw in my thoughts too after. But more importantly, what do you make of that, Richard?
The game has changed a lot in the last 10 years or whatever it is. It certainly has. But all these prognostications about like, what would happen if this or that or this era versus that era in any sport you talk about, it's like, it's pointless because the things are different. We Gianni, we talk about hockey all the time, all you guys actually, and they always compare the different eras, Gretzky's era to the current era, and it's hard to do because game is different. If Leao were somehow magically transformed that time period, yeah, he's probably a little bit smaller for that time period. But imagine if any player now was playing in the 90s and early 2000s. I mean, none of them survived because all the hard tackles, right? But Leao's talent is immense. Any player, his talent is top 10, top 5 for his position. I mean, outside of Vinny Jr., Mbappe, and maybe a couple others, he is one of the most talented players in the world. Is he doing it consistently enough to where he's considered one of the best players in the world? Maybe not yet. And he says that himself. He knows that if he wants to be considered one of the best, one of the Ballon d'Or candidates, he needs to be more consistent in the goal scoring. He understands that. But his talent is undeniable. I mean, outside of Vinny and Mbappe, there's probably nobody faster and more skillful than him on the ball on the left-hand side. And Kvaratskhelia is up there as well. But, yeah, back then it was a different game. But I'm sure he would have been, his physique would have been a lot different back then too. It's just, as the game has evolved, players have been more leaner, more fitter. Technology with the training has been different as well. So, I mean, outside of like Zlatan and Ronaldo, those guys who are just machines in the training room, I don't think he would have stuck out that bad. I think he is an immense talent then, now, anytime. You can't deny his talent. So, yeah, I think I'm with Leao. A little bit of a clown comments in my opinion, but, I'm curious what you guys think.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I saw the video. It was going around big time on Twitter, at least on my feed. Listen to what Cassano had to say, and listen, leave it to Cassano to say something controversial, to say something off the walls, something that is going to stir the pot. That just the character that he is, and again, I don't really dislike Cassano, and like I remember the Bobo TV days, like. He used to say things that were like against the grain and like nobody would agree with him. But at the same time, if you really dig deep, there's some truth to it. So does he have maybe like some point into what he's trying to say? I think he's just trying to like get the clicks and it's the way he's phrasing it isn't entirely correct. Because listen, I think like you said, Richard, Leao is a talent. It's unfortunate that he's still off the pace of where he should be. I think the consistency, like you mentioned, the goal scoring, at a consistent level is lacking because, on this Milan team, he's one of, if not the most important and best player on the team, right? So, clown comment, I agree. I think it's funny because he was a talent, coming out of the body, and he went to Real Madrid, and the best thing he was known for that time period was the jacket he was wearing at the presentation, right? So it's unfortunate. He had a career that was, had so much high hopes, expectations, not always delivered, didn't win much, but great player at the end. Do I dislike Cassano, as a person? No. Does he go off grid? Absolutely. Is there some truth maybe in what he's trying to say? Possibly. I just don't think he's phrasing it the way people want to hear it. Because as a fan, if you're a Milan fan, if you're a fan of Leao, you're Portuguese, whatever, you're obviously going to defend and going to want to take offense to comments like that. So I think he has more than what he said. I think. He's just a physical specimen, and that's it. I think there's obviously more to that. The skill on this guy when he's on form, but again, it's that when he is on his game is, I think, still the thing that's not up to that 40 classic type of level of a player. So it was just something that I saw, and I was not really shocked coming from Cassano. So but at the same time, it's it gets us talking about it, right? So there's something, some meat into the comments. But I don't know, Johnny, Nick, I don't know if you guys saw it or had anything to say to it or add to it. But
well, I only saw bits and pieces of it. from like interacting like on the internet and stuff and seeing people react to it. So
Yeah.
What I take from that is that Cassano and Leao played more or less the same position throughout his career when he was active. Both have won a Scudetto with Milan. Cassano, we've argued and mentioned time and time again, Cassano is one of those guys where he had so much potential and so much talent, and there was times where he foolishly squandered it away. And Leao is an extremely talented individual. Extremely talented. The man, when he wants to turn it on, he could dominate a game, like Cassano was able to do back in the day. So there is a bit of a chip in his shoulder, because I think Cassano probably sees Leao play and probably sees a bit of himself and sees the fact that that could have been him. That could have been obviously he would have been past his age of retirement, but more or less it's like that's what he was, or what he could have been, or the squandered potential that he messed up from time and time again. So for him, it's like it's a reflection of himself, of what he could have been. And I think it might have caused like a bit of a chip on his shoulder, a little bit of like a thorn in his side. So a comment like that, as you said before, Adrian, you kind of see where it's coming from, where it's like, like league isn't as tough as it was back then, but nonetheless, you still need to produce. And Leao has produced. He's not at his top form, but it's not as if he's playing horribly either, where he's invisible. He's already tied his career high in assists, I believe, in Serie A with 8, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that fact. Not a Milanista. Somebody please fact check me on that. But, he's not scoring as much as he used to. But as we mentioned before, the question prior to this, the load's not on him. He's not the one that like the offense doesn't primarily go through him compared to, like Giroud, for example. And that's the point. Giroud's your striker. So I think this culminates in the fact that Cassano, he probably didn't word it properly. He is being a bit spiteful. He is trying to get a bit of attention because he's a media personality now, and he needs to create some form of controversy or attention. It's journalism 101. So I think the clown response is perfectly merited, because Leao is young. He has that. He doesn't want to show that he's a pushover. And you know what? I like it, because like what sucks is that, like, I'm not trying to make it like a whole racial thing or whatever, but it's like, like how people want like the whole like was it N'Golo Kante, it's just like he's like, because he's kind of quiet, whereas like players that are a little bit more outspoken, that are of a certain skin color, they already get like predefined as they have attitude, they have issues and stuff, or like, they're problematic, just because they show a bit of flair, like what happened to Pogba in his career at Man United. The guy was one of the most talented individuals, and every time he showed a bit of character or a bit of pizzazz, people just, like the moment that he didn't produce, they used that against him. So I'm with Leao on this. Don't take that on your back. Like, don't take that lying down. Like, if he's gonna make an insult about you, call him out on it, because Cassano's the kind of guy that you don't have to worry about calling him out on it. People know that he likes to say controversial shit. So be controversial back. I think it's fully merited. Sorry for the long rant, but
I think Cassano likes it when you come back at him too, because he's like, okay, I respect you now, because I called you out and you come back at me. You see on Boba TV all the time, and where guys do that, and call him back, and it's like, all right, yeah, I like that. All
right. I think also just it, like Johnny said, it's for clicks. It's click journalism, whatever. At the end of the day, that's his job now. His job isn't to score goals anymore. His job is to gain interaction on social media. The first part of the quote, he thinks he's a phenomenal player. He's a good player that has great physical strength. Sure, that's his opinion. That's fine. But where he brings in the era stuff, like Richard said, like it's a bit too much. Like, let's be real. The guys now, the way they train, as you said, Richard, I don't think the guys back then would be able to survive, especially the amount of games that the players play now.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I don't see Cassano surviving today. Sure, he might have the talent, but geez, these guys are pushed to the limits. Like, the reason why it's sometimes we think that players now aren't as tough as players back then, and sometimes they have these little injuries that leave them out for a game or two, is also because they play so many more games, especially with the national team, with all these extra competitions, where sometimes they just need a rest, and that's totally fine. And then we also have more science, more data to back up. Okay, if a guy's at 90%, let him sit for one game, and then he's going to be at 100% the game after. Anyways, That's it's a long tangent about that, but it's an interesting quote. I mean, we're talking about it here in North America. Everyone knows who Cassano is. If you still follow Calcio, even if you didn't really see Cassano play, you still know who he is. You know, he's a pundit. That's his job. As I said.
Fantantonio.
Exactly. But Milan is going to be back in Europa League this week. Roma on Thursday, 3 p.m. I mean, I think this is perfect now that we have you and Gianni on to tee this game up. Unless there's other things you want to talk or ask about Adriano for Serie A.
Well, I mean, it's just maybe more like Milan specific, but again, maybe before. No, actually, I could save it for after. It doesn't really matter. We can go ahead.
Europa League, Milan Roma. We've talked about this game ever since the draw was announced. We're excited for it. Anytime there's two Italian teams in a draw, obviously for Milan, it's not the derby like last year in the Champions League, but it's still something. What can you make of it, Richard?
Well, you said it. It's not the derby, so it's a little bit easier for Adriano and myself. But no, I mean, it's still a difficult game, especially Roma under De Rossi has been a different beast. I think with Mourinho, yes, it's always been difficult because they play defense, but you know what to expect. With De Rossi, you're still not quite sure what they're going to do. You know they're more attack-minded, which can pose difficulties, especially with Milan's defense not being the greatest this year. It poses a good threat, and I think both teams, for the most part, equal each other out. I think, if you look position by position, Milan's got a slight advantage in goalkeeper. Defense might be a wash, really, because you never know what kind of Milan you're going to get, and same thing with Roma. Midfield, slight advantage to Milan, and then both attacking teams are fantastic. I mean, Dybala is just as good as anybody else. When he's on, he's on. We saw what he did in Conference League and Europa League, past 2 seasons. So he can still dictate games very well. And so this poses a tricky game. And I think, who's home first? Roma home first or Milan?
That's a good question. Actually, I don't even know myself.
It's Milan.
Okay. I think. Oh yeah, it is Milan, and I think it's important. Milan doesn't need a win, but I think it's important because this Roma team at home are very, very good. Under De Rossi, with that crowd singing Roma, 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 it's a daunting place. Maybe it's not Liverpool, but it's certainly a difficult place to play. And I think Milan would feel so much better about themselves. I would feel much better as a fan if they walked away with a win, even if it's a 1-goal advantage, because you go there in a draw, anything can happen in a 1-game setting. And Roma are more than capable, just as good as anybody else, to take off somebody in one game. Milan, I do think, is the better of the two teams, but that doesn't mean anything over 2 legs. And so, yeah, it's gonna be absolutely difficult. From Milan's side of things, how do they handle Lukaku? He's predominantly dominated the defenses that Milan's had over the years when he's played against them, and then Dybala is the X factor. Pellegrini is just coming to another level under De Rossi, and then it's just this whole team is playing so much better now. I'm actually scared to see, El Shaarawy come down because he's gotten so much better too as well. And just because you have a chance to go on a penalty shootout, Svilar, he showed how good he is at stopping penalties. He's a good shot blocker as well. The team, the confidence in Roma has grown with De Rossi, but also Svilar. That change, moving to Svilar instead of Rui Patricio, has been night and day for them. And you can just see the team is more confident defensively. Mancini's more brash. It was hard to say, right? He's a brash guy, but he's more Materazzi-like than he was before, right? So, no, I think this is going to be a difficult task for Milan. Absolutely. It's going to be tight over 2 legs.
Yeah, I agree. Johnny, you can go ahead, though.
Plenty has been said already. It's still like surprising me a bit that under De Rossi we see new life in Roma. The win against Lazio was huge.
Yeah.
That's something that shouldn't be not understated. Like, it should be mentioned that that's their first derby win in I think 2 years.
3 years. Yeah.
It's 2 years at least. And every player has just immensely improved under De Rossi. How long is this high going to go? We don't know, but he's definitely going to carry it as much as he can. And if it lasts into the Europa League, then that's fantastic, especially against a good quality Milan. It's not going to be anything. It's not going to be a blowout. It's it's definitely going to be it's definitely going to be like a challenge. It's definitely going to be a tight one. But seeing what Pioli did to Napoli last year and being able to dismantle them and break them down so easily in the span of a month, he beats them 4 or 5 times. Like, I feel like as if Pioli still has that capacity to take an inexperienced De Rossi, even though he's got like some lower level experience, but it's still an experience in Serie A. I feel like Pioli might have a tactic up his sleeve or two to really capitalize on the matchup. Like last year, everyone thought the Napoli-Milan Champions League run was going to be tough, and Milan exposed Napoli on the counterattack because they knew that outside of Kim, who's going to really defend on the press, but on the counterattack. I'm not saying that Roma, like, it's not the same back line, right? But still, he definitely will try to find something. As much as people dislike Pioli, I think he still finds, like, he manages to squeeze water out of stone sometimes. He still manages to find a way to do that. And yeah, it's frustrating, like Milanisti this year are getting fed up and annoyed of him. The guy's still in second place, and second place to a very, very top Inter side. It's like you can't get mad at him. It's like it's just that team top to bottom has been a well-oiled machine. It's like without any hitches, and we've said it many times. Sometimes the teams that win Serie A, just a team that's never injured, never having any issues, never having any fallbacks behind the scenes. It's a team that usually just has everything going well for them. And this year, that team is Inter. That team is Inter. They have no issues, no hitches, no bumps along the road. That's what it is for them. So it's not something that should be taken lightly. I think it's going to be a very, very tight one. If it happens to be a blowout, it's because somebody made a mistake somewhere, and they just it's an anomaly.
Yep.
Yeah. One thing I'll say is that going into the game, the first game, both these teams are hot, right? Roma coming out after the derby win, huge. Milan, the big three, the 3-0 shutout, clean sheet against Lecce, who gave Roma trouble just a week prior. So both teams are going in there hot. I think both teams have some sort of experience in Europe, especially as of late. Obviously not under De Rossi for Roma, but still, I think the team has pretty much stayed the same. They know what it takes to make a run, if it be Conference League or in this case Europa League. Milan has that European DNA. Champions League, they've done well in Europa. So yeah. I'm excited. I think goals will be scored. It's just a matter of what team is going to come out on top. I don't think I don't want to say it's like just a complete toss up, because I think there are points that you can make either direction. But I'm excited. I know obviously on this show there's 2 different representations with myself and Johnny, so it's going to always be fun. But one Italian team is going to make it past to the semifinals. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be 2 good games. And you know what? I think it's, even if whoever comes out on the losing end of this, I think it's still experience. For these players, for the projects that are being at hand with both Roma and Milan. So I think as Milan fans, we want more and expect more, just from the overall expectations going into this season. And that's no discredit to what Roma's expecting this season. But I think if they were to lose, if there were to be a hiccup in this matchup, I think Milan fans would be a bit more distasteful than Roma fans, just seeing what we want to get to, the expectations, as a whole. So again, excited. I think the top players need to be top, and obviously made the best team win, and let it be Milan.